Right now at 10, UW Health pauses gender-affirming care for minors. The reaction from local families undergoing treatment.
And giving Wisconsinites a major tax break while the governor's office and Republicans are at odds over the issue. Also tonight in the Twin Cities.
6 seconds to play. Inbounds pass Blackwell with 3, with 2, with 1. Blackwell for the win. Good! John Blackwell for 3! John Blackwell for the win!
Matt LePay, the call on Learfield Sports, a Badger Border Battle buzzer beater. We'll have complete highlights in sports all ahead on News Tree Now at 10. What a finish. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Franke.
And I'm Sarah Carlson.
We are continuing to follow UW Health, pausing gender-affirming care for minors due to recent federal actions.
One teenager impacted by the decision tells our Arman Rahman it's putting a pause on her finding her identity.
That's right, Eric and Sarah. It was not clear exactly what federal actions hospital reps were referring to, but the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services said last month that it's proposing cutting off federal Medicaid and Medicare funding from hospitals that provide gender-affirming care to children.
It's very cathartic.
17-year-old Lucy Hale self-learned classical guitar during the COVID-19 pandemic. Around the same time, the song of Lucy's life built to another verse.
So I discovered I was trans like in 6th grade-ish.
After socially transitioning with new pronouns and a new name, Lucy took the next step at UW Health's Pediatric and Adolescent Transgender Health, or PATH, clinic.
About a year and a half ago, I started HRT.
But as soon as the chorus seemed to start, the melody ground to a halt. Lucy's family was notified Tuesday UW Health is pausing gender-affirming care for patients under 18. Lucy won't be able to get her meds after this week, an anti-androgen to block testosterone and estrogen.
It's really hard news to hear.
Meds, she says, were essential in working through gender dysphoria.
It is a diagnosable and very real problem. It's not just a mental illness. It is something that has a cure, and we are preventing kids from accessing that cure. And I think that's just wrong.
A cure that can't be easily interrupted, advocates with Fair Wisconsin say.
All of those things are age appropriate and also very time sensitive, right? When you think about when puberty starts, it starts and there's no turning back. And so you really have to figure out a way to make sure this care meets the age and the individual.
Many Republicans, like Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, believe gender-affirming care is wrong, and pausing was the right move.
Well, frankly, that should have happened a long time ago. It's not gender-affirming care, it's really gender mutilation.
It certainly doesn't feel like mutilation to me. It's starting to feel like, my body is reflecting who I am on the inside.
So what comes next for young people like Lucy? Lucy is turning 18 soon, so we'll be able to continue hormone replacement.
I'm one of the very few lucky ones.
And continue strumming to her own rhythm.
You feel like you can actually be who you really are.
We reached out to UW Health, who sent us a statement. It reads, in part, quote, UW Health is committed to providing high-quality, compassionate, and patient-centered care to our patients and families, including LGBTQ+ patients. We recognize the uncertainty faced by our impacted patients and families seeking this gender-affirming care and will continue to support their health and well-being, end quote.
Arman, thank you. Today, the Supreme Court heard arguments in a pair of cases involving state laws that ban transgender athletes from participating in girls' school sports. Those challenges are from transgender students in West Virginia and also in Idaho. 27 states have laws on the books barring transgender girls and women from participating on female-designated teams. Lower courts ruled in favor of the plaintiffs who claim discrimination based on sex or status as transgender.
Given that half the states are allowing it, allowing transgender girls and women to participate, about half are not, why would we, at this point, just the role of this court, jump in and try to constitutionalize a rule for the whole country while there's still, as you say, uncertainty and debate?
Now, a decision isn't expected for several months. Meanwhile, President Trump signed an executive order to pull funding for schools that allow transgender girls and women to compete on those corresponding sports teams.
Turning to the weather now, today is the last one where it'll feel like spring. Alex joins us with our first warm weather forecast.
Yeah, and I hope it doesn't last all the way till spring, but this is the last warm day that we're going to experience certainly for the next 10 days. Our warmest temperature over the next 10 days will be Friday at 32, 33 degrees. Otherwise, that Arctic air is on the way to southern Wisconsin. Tomorrow we'll do 23 for high. Today we did 50. 53 for a high. That's a tie for the record back in 1961. I saw folks out in shorts, and I don't think there'll be as many out in shorts tomorrow at 23, but you never know. We'll do 23 in Madison, 22 in Baraboo, 23 in Lone Rock, 23 in Janesville, 21 up towards Juneau and Adams counties. So a cold day with a little bit of sunshine. It will be deceptive sunshine. You look out the window and think it's nice. Maybe as nice as today, but it won't be. Temperatures right now here in Madison, 41, but they're in the 30s off towards the north and towards the west. And those temperatures are really going to plunge as a strong cold front moves into the area during the early to mid-morning hours as we head into Wednesday. 41 in Madison. We got some 42 sprinkled off here to the west. So you wouldn't think that this real bitter cold air, or I should say much colder air, is on the way. But it's coming here. 23 by 7 a.m. 21 will be our low right around 8 o'clock in the morning, and temperatures just struggling in the low 20s throughout the day on Wednesday. We got even colder temperatures, as I mentioned in the forecast, but we have snow too. We need to talk about that snow when I come back in a little while.
All right, Alex, thank you. Next at 10, the Sun Prairie Police Department asking for the public's help in finding a missing person. Police say Scotty Andrews was last seen about 9 a.m. this morning on Chicory Way. He is wearing a black jacket with an orange Chicago Bears hat. Police are asking residents to keep an eye out for Andrews and check yards or outbuildings. If you know where he is, you're asked to contact Sun Prairie Police. The Dane County District Attorney waiting on a decision to charge Madison School Board's vice president. On December 19th, officers arrested Maya Pearson and Urban Triage CEO Brandy Grayson after being called to a business on East Doty Street for reports of a vehicle causing a disturbance. A county paralegal says the case is under review and a likely decision won't be made for a few weeks before Pearson's court date on February 19th.
Tonight, the Madison Common Council discussed a temporary data center moratorium. This would halt the issuing of zoning certifications for data centers in Madison for up to 1 year. This only applies for centers with a floor area bigger than 10,000 square feet. In a report from the city's planning division, staff say while data centers can benefit the community, the city needs time to plan how the creation of new data centers would impact its long-term land use plans. And the report notes that there are already some locations in Madison that meet the definition of a data center under this moratorium. And that includes Dane County Data Exchange 1, that's on East Broadway, and the AT&T building on West Mifflin. These centers would not be able to be newly established under the moratorium if they are more than 10,000 square feet.
Governor Tony Evers says affordability is his top priority this year.
He outlined his agenda and key initiatives for the year in a letter to state lawmakers. Our political reporter Ellie La Liberte breaks down how the governor plans to cut costs for Wisconsinites.
Things are simply not affordable, and paychecks aren't going as far as they used to.
The governor urging the state legislature to approve $1.3 billion in property tax relief.
To prevent property tax increases for average Wisconsin homeowners and help lower property taxes for working families, veterans, and seniors across our state.
Evers is blaming increasing property taxes on a lack of school funding. In 2024, a record number of Wisconsin school districts asked voters to raise the levy limit to fund public schools.
That has consequences, folks. If we don't do something, we will be in a world of hurt.
But this isn't a new request by Evers. His property tax relief plan did not make it into the last state budget.
Under this proposal, we can make sure the average homeowner will not see a property tax increase, period.
Reporting at the Wisconsin State Capitol, Ellie La Liberte, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Ellie. And Governor Evers also highlighted cutting health care costs and increasing funding for schools as key priorities for this year.
President Trump calling for a one-year cap on credit card interest rates at 10%. Now, currently, Americans pay an average credit card interest rate of about 20%, with the average balance per borrower at about $6,500. Business analysts say the president's plan could save cardholders a whole lot of money.
If you had a $5,000 balance and you were, say, had 24% interest, because 20 is the average, so we're used 24, you're paying a lot of your payment towards interest itself, $100 a month. If we slapped a 10% cap on that, it would reduce the amount of interest to $41 a month. And guess what? That saves you about $700 a year in interest.
Some analysts argue the move could actually hurt low-income consumers, those with low credit scores, driving them toward less regulated, more costly alternatives like buy now, pay later loans.
There could soon be an end to high fees from resellers for things like concerts and sporting events here in Wisconsin. Today, Republican senators held a hearing for a bill that would cap price increases and push for clear ticket prices from resellers. Madison Alder Tag Evers sells tickets firsthand through his business, True Endeavors, and he says that ticket scalping is out of control.
Ticket scalping used to be kind of an every so often kind of thing, but it's now on steroids, and it's hurting our business.
Republican lawmakers say that these companies are taking advantage of Wisconsin residents, but the nonprofit Ticket Policy Forum, which represents secondary ticket markets, says that resellers are needed to protect customers from buying fake tickets and to help people save some money.
A large portion of Madison Metro's bus fleet is currently off the streets for repairs. Now, this is part of the reason that routes B and A1 are seeing those longer wait times. The city's bus rapid transit fleet consists of 62 buses, making it the second largest fleet in the country. As of today, 25 of them are off the roads for an extended period of time.
Right now, we are looking at some warranty work that we're waiting on the manufacturer to come in and do on our behalf. We can't touch that work because if we do, voids the vehicle's warranty, right? We're waiting on some long lead item parts. We're waiting on some other diagnostics that have, kind of turned into bigger projects.
Now, the manufacturer for Madison's electric buses is New Flyer, and Metro's general manager says she does have full confidence in the product. Next at 10, President Trump says help is on the way for Iranian protesters.
And the president touts his economic achievements, this as he calls on the Fed to lower interest rates.
And Alex is back to tell us how much snow we'll get with these colder temperatures coming our way. Stay with us.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10. Moving forward.
President Trump is said to be considering taking military action against Iran.
And this comes as the death toll from anti-government protests there continues to rise. President Trump announced on social media that all meetings with the Iranians have been canceled until the killing of protesters stops. He also added that help is on its way without specifying what.
You said to Iran this morning that help is on the way for protesters. What did you mean by that? What kind of help?
You're going to have to figure that one out. I'm sorry.
Iran has warned that it will retaliate if the U.S. takes military action. The exiled crown prince of Iran is urging that President Trump act quickly.
And today, the president touted his administration's economic achievements in Detroit. It comes as the president continues to call on Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. And he weighed in on a Justice Department investigation into Powell related to a multi-billion-dollar Fed building renovation project.
Billions of dollars over budget. So he either is incompetent or he's crooked. I don't know what he is, but he doesn't do a very good job.
Now, Powell defended his record amid the probe that has sparked bipartisan criticism. Some members of Congress have expressed concerns that the Justice Department is being weaponized.
Now to our forecast. Cold weather is coming, and so is the snow again. Alex, when is this all happening?
Here we go. Let's start with our precipitation chances. Snow, best chance is going to be Thursday night going on into Friday, maybe even lasting into Friday night and into Saturday. A series of weather systems bringing all light snow chances. And even tonight, we have a little bit of light snow possible right around 4, 5, 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Could get a dusting out of this, so it can't rule out an isolated slick spot. But then we will break into partly sunny skies throughout the daytime on Wednesday. But that's that deceptive sunshine, as I was mentioning earlier. You'll look outside, you'll see the sun isn't going to feel very nice when you step outside. And then here comes part of our series of weather systems. By 6 o'clock on Thursday, snow breaking out north and west of Madison. We're keeping an eye on a number of weather systems that are going to be moving through the entire state of Wisconsin Thursday night, Friday night, maybe even lasting into Saturday with light snow accumulations, maybe 1 to 3 inches in total over the course of 48 hours. So that's why we're not looking at alert days conditions across southern Wisconsin or the state at this point in time. So just periods of light snow make it feel like January. And it's going to absolutely feel like January. We'll do a high of only 23 tomorrow after a high temperature of 53 today, 32 on Friday, and then the rug gets pulled right out from underneath us. Behind the Clipper systems, temperatures really take a nosedive with highs on Martin Luther King Day Monday barely getting to 10 degrees, and the overnight low temperatures will be in the single digits above and below zero in some cases. We'll eventually drop down to 21 in Madison, 30 in Janesville, 20 to the northwest in Camp Douglas. If you're stepping outside right now, you may be wondering, where's this cold air, Alex? It's still around 40 outside right now, but we will really see these temperatures take a nosedive as we head towards daybreak on Wednesday, with highs struggling in the lower 20s, only 22 in Baraboo, 23 in Madison, and 23 in Janesville. As I said, it's deceptive sunshine because when you step outside, it's going to be windy, gusting at times to 30 to 40 miles per hour. And with those wind gusts, we wake up to wind chills in the single digits below zero. So you're really going to need to bundle up tomorrow morning. It's going to be a shock to the system compared to our 53 for our high temperature today. So here's our 23 Wednesday, 32 on Friday, and then the Arctic stuff really moves in as we head into the weekend, going out into early next week. It's going to be a struggle to get out of the grips of this cold air that's moving into southern Wisconsin. That's really part of our track in the next 10 days. The snow shower chances Thursday night through Saturday. Much colder and bitter cold by the weekend, but not expecting alert day cold or alert day levels of snow at this point in time. But how about some pretty stuff? This is from Elroy up towards Juneau and Adams counties. Stacy sending us this photo. Scan that QR code. We'd love to see your weather photos. We'd love to see the snow photos if that suits your fancy by the end of the week.
It'll be beautiful from the inside.
That's true. Yes.
Indoors, though.
Yeah, indoors.
Thanks.
Indoors.
Thanks, Alex.
Well, the Packers could soon be without defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley, who is reportedly interviewing for head coaching jobs.
And some Packer players have mixed feelings about it. News 3 Now's senior Packers writer Jason Wilde explains.
Not only were Packers defensive players dealing with the disappointment of cleaning out their lockers yesterday morning, knowing their season was over because of their loss to the Chicago Bears, they were also dealing with conflicted feelings. On the one hand, they are excited for their defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, to have some potential head coaching opportunities. In fact, Hafley was interviewing with the Tennessee Titans on Tuesday and has several more head coaching interviews ahead this week. The drawback is if he gets one of those jobs, he won't be coaching them anymore.
You know, he can, it could be better for him and his family than, you know, I'm behind him regardless. You know, it's not just about the football part and not just about, you know, him being my coach. It's about the relationship that we've actually built with each other. So I support him, you know, regardless. But I don't want him to go nowhere. But, you know, if it's the best thing for him and his family, then I 100% get it because, you know, it's a business and, you know, it's his job, it's his life. And at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you and your family. And, you know, I support that 100%.
You know, it's always great that you got a coach like that. Me and Haf has a great relationship. And I can't wait to, you know, he's another guy I can't wait to have another year with.
You afraid to lose him, though? You might become a head coach.
Nah, Haf ain't going nowhere.
We've got more on those players' mixed feelings in a story on our website, channel3000.com, where you can find all of our Packers coverage. And while you're there, you can also sign up for our Packers newsletter, which delivers that coverage directly to your inbox every single day. In Green Bay, Jason Wilde, channel3000.com.
Okay, I'm putting Packers behind me right now because what a finish tonight in the Twin Cities.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely electric is the only way to put it. And still to come in sports, check your calendars. It is January. Blackwell and the Badgers in a barn burner across the border. Next on News 3 Now.
And now, News 3 Now Sports, brought to you by TDS Telecom.
Lately, the border battle hasn't been such a fair fight. Wisconsin men's basketball has beaten Minnesota 9 times in a row. That's their longest streak in 110 years. But until late, the Gophers looked like they were going to snap it. 10 minutes to go in the second. Badgers hadn't led since it was 8-7. But Braden Carrington, the former Gopher, cans the corner triple. The Minnesota native gives Bucky the lead. He hit 7 threes. That's tied for the third most in a game in program history. But still, this thing would come down to the wire. Minnesota ties it at 75 apiece with 4 seconds left, but John Blackwell didn't want to spend another second in the state. Blackwell games it, beats the buzzer with 3 of his 27, and the Badgers win another thriller on the road. John Blackwell takes a much-deserved victory lap with a 78-75 final. Well, speaking of basketball and Minnesota, over here in the Dairy State in the pros, the Bucks hosted the Timberwolves. Milwaukee back home after playing 9 of their last 11 on the road, and it was not a happy homecoming, or at least the one that they had hoped for. Bucks trailing by 31. You heard that right. Early in the second half, Giannis finishes through contact, but it was hard to find highlights in this one. Minnesota mauls Milwaukee without Anthony Edwards from start to finish, beating the Bucks 139-106. But in better news, you can watch this Thursday's Bucks game free and over the air on our sister station, Television Wisconsin. Mike Hastings has Wisconsin men's hockey on a whole new level, something that was truly confirmed when his Badgers went into East Lansing in late November and swept the #1 team in the country. This coming weekend, Michigan State makes their way to Madison looking for revenge. Now, Joe Palachuk's job in a bout between 2 of the nation's top 4 teams is to make sure that his group isn't too high or too low.
Make sure I push the team in practice and off ice habits, and I think just making sure you're doing everything you can so when you go to the game you're as prepared as possible, and then you don't have any regrets at the end of the day. So.
Well, the temperatures felt high today, but hopefully they don't get too low soon. I fear the worst. Alex will confirm when we come back to News 3 Now.
Finally tonight, check this one out. A battle of epic proportions took place at a Polish zoo. Look at the rhino who's scared. A tiny deer named Muntjaktad took on the Marussia, the Indian rhinoceros. There's a 3,000-pound difference between these 2 animals. I love it when the big one's scared.
According to zookeepers, gentle giant Marussia treated the encounter as fun and games. You don't see rhinos move that quick, do you? But for Muntjaktad, it was a fierce defense of his mate, who happens to be in heat, so it's not all fun here. But Muntjak, by the way, that's a barking deer is what those are called. Sure. And Marussia and the Muntjak share this enclosure. This is the zoo's Asia Pavilion. What the zookeepers there are trying to do is mimic their natural habitat. So a little snow on the ground there, looks a little chilly, and we're going to be cold tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to feel it just like that by tomorrow. Temperatures of only 23 after a high of 53 today, and some snow by the end of the week, maybe 1 to 3 inches. Not a big snow.
All right, Colbert's coming your way next. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for watching.